Thing that motivates us. It's all about contributing to our well-being, to our wellness in life. And my opinion is that if we live a life with purpose, we're already halfway there. Well, hello everyone and welcome to Wednesdays with Wallis. I'm so excited about you being here. I've got lots of fabulous things for you today and more about this whole area of attracting money for yourself and manifesting abundance in your life, or manifesting money. Some people don't like the word manifest, but anyway, we're going to talk about that. So welcome. Please click on the link below and subscribe to this channel. I am so excited. Last week we had over nearly 600 viewers on the Bold Not Old podcast last week. How wonderful, how wonderful, how wonderful. Now, please, if you're returning and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If all of those people subscribed, oh, goodness me, we'd be well on our way to having that 1,000 subscribers that we need for YouTube to take us seriously and, take a look at what we're doing. So we need around that many people. When I first started, it was daunting and I thought, oh, Lordy, I'm never going to get all these people. I'm never going to get that many people interested in what I'm talking about, etc., etc. But I am getting lots of wonderful people, hopefully including yourself, if you're listening to this. And if you are listening to it, you're in for a treat, because we're going to be talking more about manifesting. Now, someone did say to me recently, do you think people are tired of listening to the word manifesting, or that's not quite the right word? Should it be more law of attraction? Or so be whatever it is you want it to be, okay? So have it be what you want it to be. If you're more comfortable with referring to it as the law of attraction than you are with abundance, or creating abundance, or manifesting for yourself, that is entirely up to you. I'm perfectly happy with the whole thing about manifesting, and in fact I love it, because we currently manifest lots of things in our lives. Now let's just take a look at that, because I've got a number of points I'm going to be covering off. One of them last week I covered off on was, having a container. You need to have, I'm looking at my notes here, and you need a container to put this abundance into, this what you're going to be manifesting. Now, let's get the whole idea of manifesting right, will we? So let's start with wherever you're at right now, whatever you're doing right now, you're manifesting, okay? Might be what you want, and that's what we're here to talk about, aren't we? We're here to talk about, well, how do you get what you want? If what you've got right now, and that doesn't mean you're not happy with it. Like I said last week when I got up with the whole thing about wanting to build some different containers for myself, that was not because I'm not happy with what I've got. I love what I have. I love where I am. I love it. I love it. I'm very grateful. I am a very grateful person. I love it. I'm very grateful for it. However, to do some of the things I'd like to do, I'd like to create more abundance. I'd like to create additional abundance. So I don't want that to sound like I don't want what I've got, I want this. No, I'm happy with what I have. I want to increase it. I want to make it more. I want to go from this level to this level. So I want to raise my expectations, raise my thinking, raise my feelings, and in doing that, raise my energy level so that it meets that higher vibration. Now, I don't want to get into that too much because you'll probably think I'm a bloody kook and, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do, because I've done this to get what I have already and to be in the position I'm in, which is a nice position. So I'm not, I'm not unhappy with where I am. But I want you to think about what you're consciously choosing right now. Will you? Stop and think about. And if you're not sure, if you go, oh, I don't know, what do you mean? I don't know what I'm consciously choosing. Well, look around you, because whatever it is you have, whatever amount of money you got in your bank, sort of motor car that you drive, the house that you live in, the sorts of things that you're able to pay for and do, that's all your current level of consciousness. We'll call it that. Now, I want you to be able to raise that level of consciousness. I want you to choose to have a consciousness of an abundant person. Now, is that $500,000? Is it $200,000? Is it $1 million? I'm of this opinion, okay? And I've done it all my life. There's been times when I've gone, oh, God, I should have asked for more, because I've asked for an amount and it seems to have come reasonably easy. And I think life would have given me more had I only asked. Perhaps I should have asked for more than what I asked for. But we're limited. We limit ourselves. We limit ourselves with our own consciousness and the way in which we view money, and sometimes that's in relation to what we feel we're worth, or I'm not good enough. excuse me. Or we're not good enough. We don't deserve it. I don't deserve any more than what I already have. The other story around it might be, I need to work hard. I'm not working hard enough. I need to work harder, because we have some hang up about how hard we need to work, and that might come from our past or our parents, or an influence around us of what we believe and what we're looking at. Sometimes we're looking at parents. My father worked horribly hard, and we were comfortable, and I suppose in those days we were well off. But my father wouldn't allow himself, to move to the next level. And there were a number of ways that he could have done that, but he wouldn't have it. But anyway, I want you to consciously choose to be a millionaire if that's what you want. And I want you to consciously choose to have more money than what you already have. And added to that, we have a level of tolerance, okay? We have, and I've touched on this in what I've already said. Our tolerance may be that I can't have any more, or I need to wait, or I've gotten this amount in this amount of time. If I go for this amount of time, well, then I'll have more. Not necessarily so. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Sounds bloody awful, doesn't it? But I can promise you it's not the case. And you know how I know? Because I've done all this. I've tried all this. I've been involved in all this, and I've been involved in this whole area of going down the rabbit hole, and I've read thousands, probably hundreds of books on manifesting money and doing all sorts of things, and I have turned my life around. I have to tell you, I have, to where I get to travel. If I, take a flight somewhere, I can travel in whatever class I want to travel in, what I decide. And I drive the motor car of my choice at this point of time. It's the motor car I've chosen. I like it. Look in the marketplace and go, there's nothing else I'd prefer than what I've got, except when I raise my level, because at that level there is something that I'd like to add to what I already have, and that's adding to, not replacing. So I want you to easily expand on on your capacity. I want you to expand on your capacity to receive more money, to receive, the abundance, to receive large amounts of money, because we all put limits on ourselves. I've been putting limits on myself. I had. I'm no different than you until, a week or so ago when I woke up. Like I said on my last video, I woke up and, I had this whole new revelation around it. I had this whole new, this whole new thinking around it. And I thought, whoa, where's my head been? What have I been doing? Now, adding to that, how, I want to give you some steps. How do you now go from where you are to where you want to be? We've talked about consciousness. We've talked about raising your level of consciousness. And I want you to feel it. I want this to become, and I use this word, I want whatever it is, whatever these containers are that you've created for yourself, where the money's going to go, I want you to have that be a magnificent obsession. I'm going to repeat that. I want that to be a magnificent obsession for you. I want you to be really, really focused on that. I want you to feel like you already have it. Now, in my experience, one of the things that works for me around all of that is this whole thing about the container. So what's your container? Now, okay, let's go back and I'll use me as an example. I'm the example for this, okay, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. So last week when I talked about having the goal I want, I got on the internet and I looked at, because if you don't know what you want, you're not going to damn well get it, are you? I mean, you're bloody well not going to get it. So you got to know what you want. If you picked out a container and it's just a house, well, it's just a house, any house. A house that, is a studio. Well, it could be anything. It could be a house with a bloody old shed down the back. That's not it, kiddies. So I got on the internet and I didn't think about price, and I didn't think about how much it was going to cost and where would I get that money to do that. I wasn't thinking about that. I just got on the internet and I picked out a couple of areas that I like, and I trolled those areas for the sorts of houses that appeal to me. And I found one that's gorgeous. I love it. I prefer a single-story house. This was double-story in part of it. Had to compromise a bit. But it had a fabulous area, fabulous separate area for, perfect, I think. I haven't looked at it yet, but that's the next step. It's got this fabulous area I think will be wonderful for a studio and my office. So that's the house. So I know the house. I'm going to go back in and look at it, and I'm going to see where, if there's an open house on it, or if I can make an appointment to go and take a look at it, see if it's this is the house. Now you're probably saying to yourself, but if you haven't got the money yet, how are you going to do that? That's not it. You haven't been listening to what I've been talking about. It's not about the money. It's about having the container. So if I need to go and look at the house, and I've heard extraordinary stories about things, I'm going to tell you a story today which is going to help you through any blockage you might have around what I'm saying. Well, I hope it will anyway, and I'm going to tell you that story in a couple of minutes. But first of all, I'm going to go and look at the house. That's what I do. I'm going to go and look at it and see if it's the right house. Because then I'm telling the universe that, okay, I got it. This is the house. This is the house. I need to manifest for this. And I can tell you, things come in different ways. They don't always come in the ways that you think that they're going to work, or the little plot that you've got figured out. Because after all, we're just, we're humans and we're amazing, but we limit ourselves. So this is outside of our limitations, okay? The other thing is, I haven't been online yet because I've been pretty busy. I'm putting out a new book, which I'll tell you about in maybe the next week. I'll tell you about my new book. Hopefully I'll know when it's going to be up, so then you can go and take a look at it or download it. It'll be very beneficial for you. And it's titled Making Gold from the Silver Economy. So you're going to really want to take a look at that, or go and download that. It'll be in Amazon on Kindle when I've got it sorted, and it's almost there. It's almost finished, almost ready. And but anyway, back to the other part of the equation for me was having the house with more garages, which this place has got, and having enough room for that other car that I have wanted for a long time and spied a week or whatever ago when we went to a little pub for a bite to eat. So I'm going to go and drive that car. I've never driven that car. I've driven lots of fabulous cars, lots of amazing cars, but I've never driven one of those. So to see if that's really it, and I do want it, and that is the container for some of this abundance that I'm manifesting, I need to go and drive, or at least go and look at it and sit in it, pour over it. I need to drive it and see if that's, for me, and if that's something I really, really would like. Now, that's not to replace my current car, because I really like it, but it's an addition to. So now for the story, which might help you with some of this that I've been rattling on about. Many, many years ago, like a lot of us, I joined a network marketing company. And for 12 months prior to this particular time I'm going to talk about, I did really well. I made a lot of money, and I did very well out of it. It was fantastic. And the company decided to open in Malaysia. So I was very excited about that, because one of the people in my business was Malaysian, and they had held a fairly high position in Malaysia in a big company there, and they had a lot of people that they knew. They came from an area in Malaysia called Malacca, and they knew the governor of Malacca. They had a lot of connections. They were ready to, fly. They hadn't done a lot of things here in the business, but Malaysia was going to be their launching pad. So when they were building up and when they were looking to open Malaysia, I decided to go. I thought, well, I'll go. It'll be some support for him. And I was earning really, really good money. I got to Malaysia, stayed at a nice place there. But right then at that time, there were a number of things had gone on. Malaysia had a thing about credit cards. I had taken my card with me, and I'd put an amount of money on it. And when I got there, I realised that I should have put more on my card. So I had to contact home and, try and organise to get funds taken. It wasn't in those days. That was in the 80s. So there wasn't all the tech stuff now that you can do where you transfer money, Oscar, and it's almost immediate into your account. In those days, you transferred monies. It took 3 or 4 days. And anyway, one thing after another, it became a damn bloody nightmare. And to help this man out that I'd gone to support, I purchased a lot of kits and a lot of things for him to be able to have access to and all that sort of thing. And he was in Malacca, and my sister was there with me. And anyway, we won't go into the whole thing. It was a comedy of bloody errors, and it was a whole thing that went belly up and west, so to speak. So I found myself in this lovely hotel the night before we were due to book out, and I didn't have enough funds at my fingertips to finalise my account and to have me, book out of the hotel. And I had exhausted everything. I'd been pushing like mad on all sorts of bits and bobs, and bloody hell, I found myself in quite a bind. So I didn't know what I was going to do, and I couldn't think about it anymore. So I decided to just let it go and let it go out there and just see where it all went. And the long and short of that is that I finished up I said to my sister, well, and she had sorted hers, but she didn't have any additional dollars. And so we went downstairs. It would have been simple these days to transfer some more money. It would have been simple to even get somebody else to, give their credit card, but they wouldn't accept anybody else's credit card. Oh, it was a bloody nightmare, really. Anyway, we went downstairs and we had enough to, buy ourselves a drink. We went, better than sitting in our room, we went down and sat in the big lounge area. And we were sitting there, and a nice man came over and said, did we mind if he joined us and had a drink with us and had a bit of a chat? Nice man. He was there from England working. And he said, did we mind if his friend, who was an Australian also, like us, whether he could come over and join. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the man came over, and we all introduced ourselves. More and more people seemed to join us. But this man was a lovely man, the man from Australia. He was really hoping to get home to his family here in Australia, in Canberra. And in fact, he was meeting with the head of Malaysia, the prince or whatever he was of Malaysia at the time. And because he had sold to Malaysia bought it from a friend of his up in one of the northern areas of Europe, Sweden or somewhere like that. He'd bought a big oil rig, and he towed it through the Gulf at that time with the Gulf War on. He towed this big oil rig through because he was bringing it through to Malaysia. So he was held up trying to get home. And lovely, lovely man. He bought it off a friend of his up there. And anyway, we finished up, we talked, all that sort of thing. Later on in the night, he said, well, kid, you must be really looking forward to going home. And I said, I must have made some comment. And he said, what's the matter? What's wrong? Anyway, he got it out of me that you know, I had some concerns about money and that I may not be going home the next day. And at that time, the flight we were on, which was a British Airways flight, only came through on a Tuesday. So if I didn't go that Tuesday, I'd be there another week and I'd have to wait longer time to get home. So he said to me, well, you know, that's just crazy. What's the matter? And I told him about the money and all that. And he said, oh, and he pulled out his wallet, which was huge, filled with money. And he said, how much do you need? And it was pounds he had. And he just reamed out a whole bunch of pounds and folded it up and gave it to me and said, put this in your pocket. If you need any more, just let me know. And, you know, go home, go and see your family. Don't get stuck here. And I said, well, you know, where do I send it to? Where do I give you the money back? And he said, no, pay it forward. And I've always remembered that, and I've tried to do that. I've always tried to help others and pay it forward, because that man helped me out, and he was a complete stranger. So it was the random, you know, it was the kindness, random kindness of, you know, complete stranger. And it was marvellous. But the point I'm making here, and I want to make this video today, I think is a little more serious than what I normally get into. But what I'm trying to say to you is this: don't get too set on how the money's going to come for these containers you've set up, because you just don't know. It's a bit like I talked about, you know, you make a list of all the ways or all the areas that you can earn money or money comes from. And, you know, it may be the 20th thing on the list, not the first obvious ones that you thought of. And this was like that. Did I think for 1 minute I'd go and sit in a lounge, in a bar area, in a lounge, and a complete stranger would provide? And by the way, I not only paid my bill at the hotel, but the next day I had the, you know, the limousine from the hotel take my sister and I to the airport. And I had a little chuckle on the way as to how amazing the universe is and how much it provides us when we least expect it, and in ways that we don't expect. So this is very, very important. And I've lived on that. So I've not boxed myself into a container myself that says, this is what I want, this is what I want it for, and this is how I'm going to get it. I don't want you to get into the how you're going to get it, because the most amazing things happen. Complete stranger turns up, people's situations change. I could tell you heaps of stories that you'd go, wow, and you'd shake your head and think it couldn't happen to you. But things do. And so I don't want you to get into the how around all this. We're not in the how, we're in the allowing, and we're in the manifesting. And that is not, don't confuse that with, you've got to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and you've got to know how you're going to be doing all this. In the next video, I'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between the being of things and the doingness of things, and the subtle difference in that makes also a big difference to your life and makes a difference to this whole area of manifesting. Shall I talk about that next week? Now, here's my request from you. I don't normally make lots of requests from my viewers, but this week I want to do that. I want to ask you, if you're viewing this, it doesn't cost you anything, please subscribe to the channel. If there's an inkling of anything in it, subscribe. And I want you to make comments, because I'd like some comments so that I get a bit of an idea of maybe the sorts of things, like I might be way off the mark here. You mightn't want to hear any more about any of this. So tell me what you do want, and I'll do my best to bring that to you and to bring you the resources and bring you the understanding around that. Will you do that for me? That's fabulous. I really appreciate it. Hit the bell below, or the thing below, and subscribe to Wednesdays with Wallis. I enjoy every minute of bringing you understandings and bringing you my experience, and I've had lots of them. I've done wonderful things. I've had amazing experiences that I'll share and talk about. Lots and lots and lots of them that are just amazing and wonderful. And, you know, without those stories, we don't know what's possible, do we? Unless we hear them from someone, we don't know that those sorts of things exist or those sorts of things happen. We tend to be stuck in our own little world and think things have to happen in certain ways. Well, that's crap. They don't. And they do happen in amazing ways. And I think that miracles still exist, and lots of amazing things happen when you put yourself. So again, I'm going to ask you to go away thinking about, what are you feeding the field? Because that helps inform your decisions. What are you feeding yourself around all of this? Because that sure as hell will make a lot of difference to whether you achieve it or you don't. And you do want to. I know you do, because you're in the same boat as me, or on the same ship. You want to have an abundant life, and you want to have a fabulous one. And I can tell you and promise you, money makes the world go round, regardless of how that is, whether it's whether we actually have the money, or we're using our cards, or whatever we're doing, or whatever happens. It'll be a currency of some type, and we need to have whatever that is to, you know, swap for what we want. So have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. Have an amazing time. And I'll see you next week on Wednesdays with Wallis. Talk to you soon.